Sophie, this is now our 6th season of doing championship predictions together. It can't go on like this.
It can.
Hello guys, and welcome back to yet another video. Now today, it's the biggest video of the year, arguably, our official championship predictions for the upcoming season, Sophie. Once a year we get together and we do our proper predictions, and it's a big one. Some people are going to agree with what we've got to say, some people are going to disagree. All in all, let's go for some big support anyway. What are we saying, 4,000 likes?
4,500, it's a big one.
Oh, do it! Go on, hit that like button. Thank you so much for your support this year. And once again, a massive thank you for 100,000 subscribers. I mean, to do what we've done in a matter of 5 or 6 years is fantastic, and that's down to you guys. Make sure you're subscribed as well. We'll try and push for 105,000 next. Get involved and share your predictions. Like I say, you might disagree with us, that's fair enough, but let's keep things friendly and let's get into it, Sophie. We're going to go through it alphabetically. Let's start with Birmingham City. They're going to be an exciting team to talk about this season. Now, no surprises last year, Sophie. We both predicted them to win League One, and they won League One. Now, I know some people are going to say, yeah, well, they spent loads of money. Well, you know, we expected them to win League One. There's expecting a team to win League One and maybe to get 100 points. And then there's going and getting 111 points, Sophie, which is ridiculous. And on top of that, let's talk about their transfer window, Sophie. Now, Kyogo's come in, Tommy Doyle, Sophie, Damari Gray, Neumann, the centre-back, plenty of players coming in. They are making a real go of this transfer window. And I'm going to be bold, Sophie. 4th place for Birmingham City. I do think after the parachute payment teams, Birmingham City are possibly the strongest. So that's where I've got them.
Yeah, and people go on about, oh, they're going to get hit with PSR and all of this. But if you look at like their revenue, it's absolutely one of the best in the league. Like, they've got such a pull at the moment. They're earning really good money from sponsorships, etc. So they have got that money to spend, and I don't think it's going to bite them in the backside. I like some of the transfer business so far. I think their squad was already pretty strong, but the few additions has taken it up another level. So I've also got them to finish in the playoffs. Just one place lower, I've got them to finish 5th, but I think their aim is going to be the playoffs this season as well.
I think at a minimum, I think Birmingham and Coventry are going to have similar ambitions. But I think with Birmingham, they've now come straight back up with loads of momentum and everyone's on board. It almost feels like they're already a Premier League team. That's the way some people are talking about Birmingham City right now. But there's a lot of hard work to do, but I'm sure they know that. Birmingham versus Ipswich on the opening day, I am looking forward to that. Yeah. But look, it's great to have Birmingham back. You know, over the last couple of years in the Championship, they were kind of like a turd that wouldn't flush, if we're being brutally honest. They were always in the bottom half. Big club, but just wouldn't go down. They did go down, and they've come back so much stronger now. I think they could really go up this season. 4th place and 5th place. Sophie, Blackburn Rovers up next. Last season, we both had them to get relegated, and then they just missed out on the playoffs. I feel like at the start of every season, we're not very confident about Blackburn's chances, and that's probably because of the off-the-pitch stuff, the Venkeys. They've not got the biggest budget, have they?
No.
But I suppose when they had John Eustace, they were always capable of sort of overperforming everything. A bit different now, it's Val Ismail, but I still like him. I'm not going to make the same mistake of last season and put them down, but 18th place for me, Sophie. Sidney Tavares, Sean McLaughlin coming in, but they've seen, you know, the likes of Danny Bath and Andy Vyman going out to John Eustace at Derby County. I think they're going to be in the
Dolan as well on a free.
Yeah, I think they're going to be bottom half.
Yeah, I agree. I'm pretty sure I've got them in 18th as well, so I'm in complete agreement. Maybe their fans would like that because we massively underestimate them and then they go on to do better. So maybe that's a good omen. But when I look at the strength of some of the Championship teams at the moment, I don't see them finishing top half. I do see them finishing quite low down. Unless things drastically change, then that would change my mind. But right now, I've got them 18th.
I think the difficulty with Blackburn is they've always been a bit of a streaky team, haven't they? And they tend to start seasons quite well. I mean, they're probably going to win their first 5 of their 10 games this season. They're going to be in the top 5 in October, and then they're going to go on a terrible run.
Yeah, like relegation form.
Yeah, difficult to predict. Sophie, let's talk about Bristol City, who of course finished in the playoffs last season. I had them 11th, you had them 14th. Now, obviously the big change is the manager, with Liam Manning going out the door. In comes Gerhard Struber, which is a bit of a surprise. Not that I think it's a bad one, it could really work. Just obviously, we remember him at Barnsley, he kept them up, but otherwise he hasn't really managed in England that much. There has been quite a few significant changes in terms of players, and I think with the manager change as well, I'm going for a step back this season. Okay. I'm going for a regression. I'm going 14th place for Bristol City. The likes of, Naki Wells and Cal Naismith going out, I think they both went to Luton, but they have brought in like Emil Rees, who I think will get goals, but... Yep. I just think this is maybe a building season. I know last season they made the playoffs, but I think this might be a transition season, should I say, actually.
Yeah, it sometimes can go like that. You either challenge again or you have a drop-off. And I do predict a bit of a drop-off. Obviously, I'm not entirely sure what to make of the manager just yet. It could be a good appointment, but yeah, as you've said, he's not got masses of experience in English football, but that's not always needed, because look at Reggie Lebris last season and he smashed it, to be fair. So I have got them to finish a little bit lower. I've got them 12th, so a little bit higher than yourself, but I do have them to finish lower than last season.
Still in the top half though. Yes. And to be fair, I think they're going to be possibly competing, but as I've said previously, I think the average team in the Championship this year is better than last year, and if you get 68 points again, I'm not sure if that's going to be enough for the playoffs this time.
No, the playoff race was awful last season. We were included in that, so we can say it, but it just seemed that no team wanted it. It was probably one of the worst in quite a few years.
It's
everyone bottling it.
Yeah, it's mean, but Bristol City deserved to make it, but then we could see the gulf in between them and Sheffield United across those semi-finals.
Yeah, got absolutely panned.
Right, Sophie, next up, Charlton Athletic. Speaking of playoffs, they won the League One playoffs, and they come up, of course, with Nathan Jones, who's familiar to the Championship, of course. Do you know what? Their transfer business has been pretty impressive.
I like it.
I don't mind it at all. But I've got to remind myself that they did have to make the most changes, because technically they're the lowest ranked team based on last season's finishes coming into this season. Don't get me wrong, they were brilliant in League One, 4th place. Matty Godden, of course, scores goals, hoping he can do well this season, and of course Olafe, I hope he can do well. That said, I'm actually going to have Charlton 22nd, just in the bottom 3. Like I say, the business, Kaminsky, Sonny Carey, Amari Bell, it's not actually that bad. But a few of those were at Luton, who actually got relegated last season as well. Let's remind ourselves of that.
They have mainly targeted Luton.
They want relegation players. What's that about?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, that's Nathan Jones going after players that he's probably been with. But I'm just having them to go down. But believe me, I'm not massively confident with that prediction.
I've actually got them to just stay up. I've got them in 21st position. I like some of the business they've been doing, to be honest. I don't think it's absolutely amazing where I think they're going to finish much higher than that. I do think they're going to be in a relegation battle for the majority of the season. They've signed that Apter as well from Blackpool, and he looks like a cracking little player. But there are quite a few changes, so I think there is going to be a settling in period. I think they'll start off quite slow, but I think they'll finish quite strong, and that'll lead them to just staying up.
Yeah, do you know what as well? I think they've got every chance of staying up. I think when it comes to managers, when you're going into a relegation scrap with a few games to go, you probably want Nathan Jones to get you out of it.
Yeah, true.
So, yeah, I'm kind of leaning more towards your prediction, even though I've gone with a different one myself. Sophie, let's talk about the Sky Blues, Coventry City. Now, of course, I smashed it last season, Sophie. I said we'd finish 5th, and we finished 5th. Was it ever in doubt? Yes, it was. I didn't think that Mark Robins would get sacked, but I believed in the squad quality that we've got, and I believe in the squad quality again. Now, I get that most Coventry fans, including myself, would like to see us get a couple more faces in, and I'm sure we will between now and the end of the window, but we've still got Radoni, we've still got Hadji Wright, and I think Kane Kesler-Hayden's a good addition. Just need to address the goalkeeping position, which we might do in the next day or two. And then I think at least playoffs. Not quite thinking top 2 yet. We've got to start well as well if we want to try and think of automatics. But I'm actually going to be fairly reserved, optimistic but reserved. 6th place for Coventry this time. I was right last time. I think I might be right this time, to be fair.
Yeah, I've gone for 6th as well. I do feel like the playoff race is going to be harder this season. As I've already mentioned, last season it just seemed like no one wanted it. But this season I think so many teams are going to want it and are actually going to perform well. So we need to be on it. I think we need to get off to a strong start, which if we bring in a goalkeeper, then I feel like we will get off to a good start. Otherwise, it's almost like buying time until our first goalkeeper is back in the sticks. But I do think overall, as long as our strikers get firing early on as well and just look confident, as long as they look confident on the pitch, I will be pretty confident that goals will come as well. It's just sometimes they look short of confidence, and some players are obviously confidence players. So if we get off to a strong start, I think playoffs is on.
Yeah, and we said in yesterday's video, it's got to be minimum playoffs.
Yeah.
If we don't, it's a bit of a failure. And I suppose, although it sounds brutal, Lampard would come under pressure. He's got to make the playoffs again. I mean, don't get me wrong, he did amazing last season, but if we don't get top 6 again with this team, I think that's not very good.
Yeah, and I just feel like we'll lose the majority of our really good players if we don't get in the playoffs. I think a lot of them would rightly leave, to be honest.
Exactly, got to keep pushing. But fingers crossed, play up Sky Blues. Next up, Sophie, let's talk about Derby County. Now, last season, Sophie, we both had them to go down, but they finished 19th. However, if we had known that they would get John Eustace towards the end of the season,
it's so different.
I think we'd have had them to stay up, and I stand by that. And I think coming into this season, there's reasons to be optimistic. I have seen one or two Derby fans daring to say competing for the playoffs. Not impossible.
Can't rule them out.
And to be fair, John Eustace always tended to start quite well with Birmingham and Blackburn, and Derby could start well. If anything, I know Derby played Coventry early in the season. I'm not looking forward to that one.
No, that'd be a nice easy 3 points for them.
I know, they did the double over us last season. Anyway, I'm going to go mid-table this time, 4 places higher than last season. 15th place, Patrick Adjiman, Andy Vyman, Danny Bath, Carlton Morris. It's all pretty good championship business. I think mid-table.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I've actually got them to finish 1 place higher. I've got them to finish 14th. I like some of the business they've been doing at the moment. I can see why some of their fans are getting carried away, because that's the whole point of being a football fan, isn't it? It'd be boring if you don't.
Yeah.
So, and actually you can't rule them out of the playoffs. If they went on a really good run, which would be very typical of a John Eustace team, then you'd go, oh, okay, playoffs. And then they might just fall short. I think maybe that's a little bit too much at the moment, so I've got them to finish mid-table, but that's an improvement on last season.
Yeah. Right, let's talk about Hull City, Sophie. Obviously, last season they just survived. A bit of a strange one, because obviously the season before they just missed out on the playoffs, but I think that comes with when you change managers so frequently, and they've done it again, of course, with Sergej Djikurovic coming in. I just think off the pitch shenanigans might start to catch up with Hull. Once again, I'm not actually confident with this one. By the way, when it comes to relegation, there's only one team I feel confident are actually going down. I'm going to have Hull in there, but they're not the one I'm confident about. I'm going to have them 23rd. A transfer embargo is never good, Sophie, of course. In through the door comes Dylan Phillips, Semir Jayi, of course, as well, decent centre-back. But they were actually the lowest scorers in the Championship last year, lower than all of the teams that got relegated as well. And who was their top scorer? Was it that João Pedro? I'm not even sure if he's there. Yeah. Is he there anymore? I mean, I think goals are going to be a problem for Hull. 23rd.
Yeah, I've got them in 23rd as well. You've already mentioned the off-the-field issues, the transfer embargoes, which makes it very, very hard. And for a manager that hasn't got that experience in this league, and you've already been dealt a bad hand, this is very, very challenging for him. So I think a lot of people will be having Hull to go down, like looking at the bigger picture. Even looking at the current squad, I don't think it's that strong. But yeah, it's not looking good for the Hull fans right now.
No, it isn't. Of course, we play them on the opening day. It'd just be typical if they beat us now. And they'll all be like coming back to this video saying, you what?
Yeah.
Good luck, Hull fans. We never wish relegation on anyone, but I do think a transfer embargo and a lack of goals could lead to trouble. Sophie, let's go from the bottom of the table towards the top of the table, Ipswich Town. I have a feeling we're both going to have them to go up. Now, of course, they have Kieran McKenna, who we could say is, probably the best manager in the league. And, I mean, what he's done for Ipswich, unbelievable, and I don't think he should be heavily criticised for them being relegated last season. However, some of their transfers last season that didn't really work in the Premier League, the likes of Smodics, Philogene, I think they're going to do very well in the Championship, because we've seen that before. Clark as well from Sunderland that they brought in.
Hutchinson, but I think he's off.
Well,
Sure he's off for a decent figure as well. So.
I don't think Hutchinson will stay. Obviously, Delap had to go. He went for about 30 million. That brought in cash. Who was the player they signed, by the way, for 8 million? Is it Matasiwa? I'm going to have them second. I think they're going to be in the top two. I think they're too good for this league with the players they've got. But I have got another team top of the table, actually.
Okay, well, I do not. I've got Ipswich Town to top my table. Even the squad they've got right now is very, very good. The manager you've already mentioned, top tier. But I think the most important thing as well, they've got some money to spend. So you've already mentioned Delap's gone out the door. They've not spent all that money. They've got Amari Hutchinson likely to go for decent money, so they can reinvest that, whether that's now or in the January transfer window, to re-strengthen the team. So I think they're in a very, very strong position, and that's what I've got them to finish top.
There you go, Tractor Boys. Share your thoughts down below. We've both got you in the top two, and I just think they're going to be too strong for this league.
Yeah.
Right, Sophie, let's go from Ipswich to Leicester City, who of course got relegated as well. This one's going to be more difficult because Leicester City come with complications. They come down with a change in management, by the way. I think Martí Cifuentes is a good manager. Is it the most inspiring managerial change I've ever seen? Not really, but I think he did do well with QPR. However, I do think going in at Leicester is a difficult one because obviously, A, you've got a possible points deduction coming.
Yeah.
There's also other off-the-field issues that probably do need resolving. And then the Leicester fans, they can turn on a manager quite quickly. Even when they went up with Maresca, quite a lot of them didn't.
They booed him. Like, he'd win some of the games and they boo him off the pitch.
And then Steve Cooper came in, and obviously they got him out. The players got him out, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, yeah.
And then Ruud van Nistelrooy came in, and it was terrible. However, despite off-the-pitch issues, I'm going to have Leicester in 5th place. I'm going to have Leicester City to make the playoffs. Hermansen, James Justin, Ndidi, Fatawu, Mavadidi, Connor Cody, they're all players that are still attached to Leicester right now. Not sure how many of them they're all going to hang on to, but I think the squad quality still gets them a playoff place, even if there is a deduction, which I think will probably be about 8 or 9 points.
Yeah, I think they're saying around 9, which, to be fair, I thought it was going to be 12 initially.
Well,
so
it's also possible, I will say, that there could be a second deduction, in which case
that
then
changes things.
Yeah, but
obviously we don't know that right now.
Let's bear in mind as well, because I know some people saying, if they're starting with a deduction, they can't make it up to... Sheffield United started with -2. They still got 92 points. Leicester, if they didn't have a deduction with that squad, I think would probably get about 80 points. That's why I'm thinking if you take 8 or 9 points off, 71, 72, probably finish about 5th place.
Yeah, I've got them to finish 4th, given that they'll probably have a 9 points deduction. I've not seen many players incoming at the moment. I couldn't name any.
No.
I don't think they've actually signed any. But they have kept hold the majority of the squad, which isn't a bad squad in the Championship. Obviously, we saw in the Premier League that the difference now is too much. But in the Championship before, very, very good team. Obviously without Vardy, but it's fair enough that he's going at that point, isn't it? I do think that they're strong enough to finish in the playoffs, though. I think Martí Cifuentes is a good manager. Just, if you're looking for automatics, is he your guy? No. And then obviously you've got the points deduction anyway, so that makes it even harder. But I do think that the playoffs will be on for Leicester.
I think so. I think top 2 is probably out of their reach, but if they don't make the playoffs, then that's a bad season with the team they've got. Speaking of playoff race, Sophie, let's talk about Middlesbrough. Last season, of course, we had them 7th and 6th, and they finished 10th. This time around, there's a change in management. Rob Edwards, and of course, Adi Vivash comes in under his wing. However, not a lot of transfer business to talk about, let's be honest. Josh Coburn went out for 5 million. They still have got a good team. If you can get a tune out of Conway and Morgan Whittaker, then this could be a really powerful force. However, I've got reservations. I do. And although I know Coventry and Middlesbrough do have this lovely relationship, it's kind of like two brothers competing to be the best brother. I like Middlesbrough. I like their fans. I think they might just fall short again. 10th place.
I've actually got them to finish just outside the playoffs. I've got them in 7th. I think they could be quite strong. I like Rob Edwards. I love Vivash, and I think that was a great appointment. I've seen them linked with quite a few players, and they've not gone to any of the teams yet. So if they can get some of these players in the door, then that does strengthen the team massively. But it does just seem that they're constantly linked with players and then nothing gets done about it. But current squad, I still think could be good enough if the manager gets the best from them to just finish outside the playoffs. So 7th place for me. Yeah,
big season for Borough because, of course, massive club, great fan base that we think should be competing for the playoffs. Big season for Rob Edwards, though, because after last season, if he doesn't get Borough even into the top 7 or 8 this season, then it's not good for him. Right, Sophie, let's move on to Millwall. I'm feeling fairly optimistic for Millwall. Of course, last season we both had them just outside the playoffs, in the top half still, and they finished 8th. And of course, they've got Alex Neil, and things appear to be trending upwards. Josh Coburn, as I say, has come in for 5 million. They generated about 7 million for selling Zian Fleming onto Burnley. If I was to have a wild prediction where I could just sneak someone into the playoffs that maybe most people wouldn't have in there, I'd go for Millwall.
I think they're always a dark horse, aren't they?
I think people understand that they're all a dark horse, but when everyone thinks you're a dark horse, are you a dark horse anymore? That's a real question.
You're just a horse.
You're just a horse. Right, I'm going to have Millwall 9th. I think once again competing for the playoffs.
Yeah, I've literally got them in the exact same place. Millwall are always strong. They're always a strong championship team, but you can't rule them out of the playoffs. So I always fancy them to be top half, and I think again they're going to challenge for the playoffs.
I think though they could make it. They keep knocking on the door, don't they? They've had a couple of seasons where they've just fallen short, and I don't know, if one or two things just fall into place, then it might happen for them this year. Speaking of which, Norwich City will be competing for the playoffs again, surely, Sophie. They've got a change in management to talk about, Liam Manning, and a big change in terms of recruitment this season, Sophie, with, first of all, the outgoings like Jonathan Rowe, of course, and then signs, and we expect Sargent's
looking like he's off as well.
And all of them going does make me think, oh, God, there goes a lot of goals.
Yeah.
However, I'm going to have them 7th because Harry Darling is one of my favourite signings this season. Yeah. Kovacevic, Wiesgarden coming in, of course, Jacob Wright. I think Liam Manning is going to guide Norwich very close to the playoffs. I've got them 7th though, so they're not making it, but I think they're going to be better than last season, of course. Yeah,
for me, if they'd have kept hold of at least Sargent or Signs, I'd feel really confident because I feel like they've built their defence to be absolutely solid this season. But I'm just a little bit concerned for where the goal is going to come from. I know they've still got time to reinvest that money, so if they bring in a proven goal scorer, then I'll fancy them to finish a little bit higher. But right now I've got them to finish 10th, just because I feel like it is going to be a big change. If Sargent goes as well as Signs, I do worry where the goals are going to come from.
Yeah, I think I share those concerns, but I still think as a club they've got to be pushing for the playoffs. Next up, of course, Sophie, Oxford United. We famously had them to go down in 24th place last season, and then they stayed up in 17th. Credit to them, they were a lot better than we thought, and the Oxford TikTok admin thought he had to include our predictions, so cheers for doing that. But no, they were right, they mugged us off, and I don't want to make the same mistake again this year. Now, I will say that there is such thing as second season syndrome, which we saw Plymouth suffer with, where they came up, stayed up, and then it's the second season they went down. Yeah. The difference is, of course, they had Wayne Rooney, whereas Oxford have a safe pair of hands in Gary Rowett. So I'm going to have them to survive. I do think, once again, it's going to be close. I'm going to have them 21st, but I have learnt my lesson. I'm not going to have them to go down. Brodie Spencer comes in. I do think a couple of players going out, like McEachran and Ruben Rodriguez, I think they're big players to lose, but I still think the average squad quality and the manager is more than enough to stay in this division.
Yeah, I've got them to finish 20th. I actually feel like a lot of people will have them to go down this season because it's very, very hard to choose 3 teams to go down, so I almost feel like they're a bit of an easy option. However, I don't see them going down. I do feel like they've got enough just to stay up. I do think it's going to be hard, but I do fancy them, as I say, just to stay up.
Yeah, there you go.
Close.
There you go. And now Oxford will go and get relegated and make us look stupid again, won't they?
Yeah, but they won't do a video about it that time, will they?
That's true. No, I'm joking. Oxford, we wish you the best of luck. Next up, Sophie, Portsmouth. Portsmouth, of course, survived last season as well. We had them 17th and 20th, and they finished 16th. Now, I like Portsmouth as a club, of course, historic club, proper club. John Mousinho, of course, great manager.
So good.
I love him. Do you know what? He's such a nice guy as well, isn't he? Like, you just look how he...
Have you met him?
No, but I've watched lots of videos of him and how he conducts himself and how he is around everyone. Do you know what? This is going to be a bold prediction from me, Sophie. They finished 16th last year.
Yeah.
5 places higher. 11th place for me this year. Okay. I don't think many people are going to have Portsmouth in their top half, but I am. I'm going to be bold with this one. Of course, they brought in John Swift, who I think is a really good player to bring in. Brings in experience, and of course he can get goals as well.
Yeah.
And I think they've kept the core of that team as well that stayed up last season. So I'm going with John Swift and John Massinho and everyone that's called John, Pompey John as well with his bell, to take Portsmouth into 11th place.
Oh, now I should have gone first because mine seems so boring now. I've got them to finish the exact same as 16th.
Oh, 16th again.
It is a bit boring, but I've said it time and time again in this video that I feel like the Championship is stronger with some of the teams coming up. So can I see them finishing much higher? Not really. I do think their home form is going to be key again this season. It was really good last season. Not many teams enjoyed going there, so we certainly didn't.
No.
If they can do that again this season and improve on their away form, I do fancy them to finish a bit higher, but right now, 16th.
16th. There you go, Pompey fans. 11th and boringly 16th. Sophie, let's talk about Preston North End, who only just survived last season, of course.
Yeah.
They finished in 20th place. We both had them 16th. Now, Paul Heckingbottom is a good, experienced Championship manager now. Of course, took Sheffield United up. I, however, think it's just about staying up again for Preston because their business is all right. But I think it's going to be quite hard for them to climb a few places. So I'm going to go 20th again for Preston. Like I say, Daniel Everson, Daniel Jefferson, not bad. But out the door goes Ledson and Emil Rees. Yeah, so I think they'll survive again. What are you saying?
Maybe this is my bold call. I've got them to go down. I've got them in 22nd place. I feel like they were flirting with it last season. They've set it up for the second date, and the second date is relegation. And it's purely because I do fancy some of the other teams that have come up to be a little bit stronger. I feel like they've done better transfer business, got a better overall squad, some managers as well. I don't mind Heckingbottom, but I don't think he's the most exciting manager. And I do actually think that Preston are going to get relegated this season.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 22nd for me.
Yeah, I mean, they've been in the Championship for about 10 seasons straight now, haven't they? But yeah, last season was a cause for concern, wasn't it? That said, I just think in terms of experience, they might have enough to stay up. But then, when you think of last season, Sophie, who thought Cardiff would go down? Who thought Luton would go down?
True.
I think predicting
usually a bit of a shock, isn't there, with the team?
Yeah, I think predicting the bottom three this time round is very difficult.
So hard.
Sophie, let's talk about QPR. Finished in 15th place last season, which was a little bit lower than where we both had them. This time round, Sophie, I think QPR are going to be better. I think they are. Obviously, I did like Marti Cifuentes, and now we've got a change with Julian Stefan coming in. However, their business does excite me, so I'm going to go in the top half, 12th place for Queen's Park Rangers. Of course, Kwame Poku, Mbengi, Karamoko, Dembele. They're all quite exciting signings, if we're being honest. So I was thinking of maybe putting QPR in my top 10, but I'm going to be cautiously optimistic this time because last season I went a bit too far and then they finished a bit too low. So 12th.
Okay, I've got them to finish one place higher. I think they're going to be in and around that playoff shout. I like some of the business they've been doing. Obviously, they've got a different manager in. Marti Cifuentes upped and left, but I still think that they're going to have a pretty solid season, but just fall short of the playoffs. So 11th place for me.
I think the difficulty for me is because they were so streaky last season, I don't know what the real QPR is.
Yeah.
Are they the QPR that got off to a rubbish start and was doomed in terms of relegation, or the QPR that went on a brilliant run between like October and February or something that looked like they were going to make the playoffs? So you don't really know what you're going to get. Sophie, next up, Sheffield United. Of course, last season finished in 3rd place. We both had them 4th and 5th respectively, and there's a change in management. I've got to be honest. Do I think Chris Wilder going is good for Sheffield United? No. Do I think it's bad that Ruben Sellers has come in? No. I think that's a pretty fair way of addressing it. I didn't necessarily think Wilder going was the right choice, but is Sellers coming in the wrong choice? No. Obviously, not a lot of transfer activity. However, the main thing is the players they've still got. At the moment, Sophie, they've still got Gustavo Hamer. Still got Callum O'Hare, still got Kiefer Moore, still got Arma Hodzic, still got a lot of that good team that finished in 3rd place last season. And I suppose they're going to have a little bit more continuity than the teams that have come down because it's going to be not a massively changed team, but of course the manager has changed. They've picked up some good results in pre-season, Sophie.
I was about to mention that.
They've scored plenty of goals. 3rd place again, which is a bit frustrating, of course, for the Sheffield United fans because I'm sure they'd rather not finish in the playoffs given their track record. But I think that at a minimum, top 3, I wouldn't be surprised if they sneak into 2nd.
Yeah, I've got them to finish 3rd as well. I think it's going to be another 3-horse race this season and they're very much going to be involved in that. You've mentioned pre-season. I know sometimes you don't want to read too much into it, but they've been scoring a bucket load of goals and not conceding any, which is very, very good for confidence then going into the season. I'm not sure how you pronounce his name. Is it One or One? Yeah. But he was more of a fringe player. But in pre-season, he's looked very, very good. Better than Kiefer Moore, in my opinion. So if they can incorporate him into the squad, they've got Tyrese Campbell that scores goals as well. Obviously Tom Cannon, but probably stick him on the bench, to be honest. But they've got a very, very good squad. Sellers is a decent manager, but he's inherited a very good squad. So I do fancy them to be right up there.
Yeah, and by the way, on Ruben Sellers, I think what he's done at Hull and what he's done at Reading is pretty impressive. This is a really good challenge for him now. If he can take them up in the top 2, then he's really proved his worth, I think. Or even if he can get them to win the playoffs finally, that'd be very impressive.
Win the playoffs.
Yeah, because they never tend to. Right, Sophie, let's go from one side of Sheffield to the other. This is not going to be a fun one to talk about. Now, of course, last season we were pretty good with our predictions. They finished 12th. You said 11th. I said 10th. I don't think Sheffield Wednesday are going to finish in the top half this season. In fact, I'm fairly confident they're going down. 24th place. I am so sorry, but you can't blame me. I don't think you can. And I think everyone knows that I am a fan of Sheffield Wednesday as a club. I'm not like a Sheffield Wednesday fan, but I'm a fan of them, if that makes sense. I think it'd be great to see them doing well, and I'm going to be rooting for them because they're now the underdogs in the league. Because of all the chaos off the pitch. I think chaos relegates clubs, and I think Chansiri's got blood on his hands here. Danny Roll, I mean, right now he's still there.
He's still there, but I don't know if he's going to be. It's really odd.
One minute he's committing and he's staying, the next minute he's off again.
So much uncertainty.
Players not getting paid. I mean, in terms of the players they've still got, Jamal Lowe, Ike Ugbo, they could get a couple goals between them, but I don't even know if Bannon's on a contract anymore.
He's still training with them.
But that's what a mess they are, isn't it? And they can't obviously bring anyone in, so they're going to have a lot of youngsters. I'm sorry, they're going down.
I sadly have them to finish rock bottom as well, but I don't think you can blame us because just look at the absolute mess the club is in at the moment. I think I even read that one of their stands is going to have to close. Funnily enough, it's the Chansiri stand. But I think there's structural issues there. So just the whole place is a mess at the moment. So I can't see them staying up. They've got a couple players that have stuck around, which it shows great loyalty, to be fair. So if I was a Wednesday fan, I'd absolutely love those players. But a lot of players, obviously you're not getting paid, they were looking for a quick out. And I do think they're going to be heavily reliant on young players because of the transfer embargo as well. So it's not looking good.
No, it certainly isn't. Transfer embargo, remember, a possible points deduction, and I think the main thing for Sheffield Wednesday fans is they just want a club at this point. They don't want it to be dissolved like Morecambe could be at this point as well. Good luck to Sheffield Wednesday, but we have got you to go down, which is understandable. Sophie, from the bottom to possibly the top, Southampton, of course, they finished 20th last season in the Premier League. That is where I had them. I knew they'd go down, Sophie. I knew they weren't good enough. However, just because I had them to go down last season, bottom, and they did, doesn't mean I don't think they're going to be good this year. Because I've got them to win the league. Yeah, there you go. Southampton are going to win the league for me. Of course, there is a change with Will Still replacing Russell Martin. You look at the team they've got, Sophie. Cameron Archer, Adam Armstrong. They've still got Flynn Downs, Manning, Ben Brereton Diaz, Ramsdale's still there technically. I'm not sure if they're going to hang on to each and every one of them, but the average squad quality I really like. And I think, I don't know about Will Still. I mean, obviously he's not managed in England yet, but what he's done in Europe is pretty good. Do you know what? Southampton, I know we all laughed last season when they were terrible, but I'm on their side this time. The Saints are marching in to first place.
I've got them to finish second, which I think was always going to be pretty obvious that we've got them to finish in the automatics, because you look at the current squad, pretty good. I do think the manager's going to do a good job as well, but I mean, I can't say for sure because we've not seen him in English football, but he's a young, talented manager and he's got a very good squad. So I think the automatics, minimum.
Yeah, at a minimum, first game of the season, Sophie, they're at home to Wrexham. They're really going to want to set the standard with a good win there, aren't they? Sophie, let's talk about Stoke City, of course. Last season finished in 18th place, as you predicted, to be fair. In through the door comes Aaron Cresswell, Tolovierov, Sorba Thomas, and of course they've got Mark Robbins, who we like. However, does that mean they're going to get off to a slow start this season? Because that was always the thing with Coventry. I think they've got enough to stay up again, but let's be honest, as a club, they are not trending in the right direction. Every season since they've come down, they've finished in the bottom half of the Championship, and I'm going to go for more of the same. 19th place. They've got enough to stay up, of course, but not for me to get too excited, if that makes sense.
No, I get that. I have got them to finish 17th, but I've just seen that Walter Berger is linked with a move away, but for I think 3-4 mil, which massively undervalued in my opinion. But I do like some of their additions. I feel like Mark Robbins will probably get off to a slow start, but will ramp it up towards the end of the season, and that will just take them up a little bit more. So for me, 17th place. Okay,
a little bit higher than me, and that's a little bit higher than where they finished last season, if that's any consolation. Good luck, Stoke fans. I thought when they came, well, when we played them both games last season, they gave us some real problems, to be fair. Right, let's talk about Swansea, Sophie. In through the door comes Ricardo Santos, Cameron Burgess, Inusa as well. And to be fair, they overperformed our predictions last season. We both had them in the bottom half. Finished in the top half. Alan Sheehan, Sophie. Strange one, isn't it, when obviously a sort of assistant steps up. But he proved himself pretty well. But it's a very small sample size.
Yeah. The whole season's very different.
Yeah, and of course their business has been pretty good. I'm going to have them pretty much right bang in the middle, 13th place. However, I really do understand a lot of people's predictions for them to be a dark horse this season. I think their signings are quite good in terms of making their defence a lot bigger, a lot taller, and they've always got decent players when it comes to going forward. So I think mid-table, but possibly chasing for the playoffs.
Yeah, I've got them mid-table as well. Bang on the same as yourself. I've got them in 13th. I think similar to last season, there's going to be purple patches where you think, oh, okay, they could be in and around the playoffs. But ultimately, I do think they'll then drop down and finish mid-table. But I can see why some people would say, oh, okay, they'd be around the playoffs, because you can't rule that out. Yeah,
I think there might be, yeah. But I think it'd be congested in the middle of the table, yes. I will say. Yeah. Speaking of which, Watford, Sophie, who finished mid-table last season, of course, finished in 14th. We both had them 19th. In through the door comes Paolo Pezzolano, so obviously a change in management, which could work out, to be fair, because when Tom Cleverley came in, we weren't sure what to expect, and then he sort of overperformed his expectations somewhat. I'm going to have them in the middle/bottom half. I'm going 17th, which might seem a little bit harsh. I do like the signing of Hector Cipriano. Of course, they've also brought in Nathan Baxter and Mark Boller. I'm always puzzled with Watford. When they change the manager, I don't know what direction they're going to go in.
No, I know. They're a very tricky team to predict as well, to be honest, whether that's beginning of the season or throughout the season when we're doing our weekly predictions. You just don't really know what you're going to get from them. I've got them to finish a little bit higher than you. I've got them to finish 15th. I do think that on their day, their squad's pretty good, but they don't have their day nearly enough. So I think, mid to lower half of the table for me.
Yeah, it seems to be a fairly safe bet. I think after last season as well, but they could make us look stupid with a top half finish.
Possibly.
Sophie, West Bromwich Albion, of course, finished in 9th place last season, slightly lower than where we had them to finish. The change is now that Ryan Mason comes in. Let's hope that brings them some stability, because, of course, after Corberan left, they just couldn't find a rhythm, could they? Tony Mowbray, and then it all went a bit pear-shaped. Now, Nat Phillips, I think, is a really good signing.
Yeah, he is.
They've also brought in George Campbell as well. I'm going to go 8th place. Of course, out the door goes Ajayi, John Swift, Dean Garner. So quite a few players that have had a couple of years at West Brom. But I do like this new approach with Ryan Mason. They could be quite a surprise package. Let's have them in the playoff race. And like I say, Nat Phillips, the signing of the season, possibly this season.
Yeah, he's a solid defender, especially for the Championship. So, that was a great addition. And I think, what was it, like 5 mil, something like that? So, absolute steal. I think West Brom could be in and around that playoff shout. I have got them to fall short. I've got them to finish in 8th as well. But I do fancy them to be quite strong again this season. They're always pretty solid. I think they're always in people's playoff shouts, and they're going to be in and around it again for me. Yeah,
I think so. Do share your thoughts down below, Baggies fans. I think anything lower than 8th is probably an underachievement. So they've got to be right on the edges of the playoffs, if not in them. And then finally, Sophie, we go on to the new team, Wrexham, who are in the Championship for the first time in bloody ages. This is a really interesting one, of course. Now, last season they finished 2nd in League One. I had them 6th. Sophie had them 8th. I don't even think we were that harsh compared to other people's predictions, because some people just think, oh no, that now they've been promoted to this level, they're not going to go any further. But the thing with Wrexham is they always rise to every challenge. However, this is the Championship, and it's a hard league. And obviously the teams come down from the Premier League with parachute payment money, and I wonder how Wrexham are going to compete against those. I think if we're being realistic, you look at the team right now, they've just got to try and stay up. I mean, I know they've done back-to-back promotions. No, back-to-back promotions.
Yeah.
They're looking to do back-to-back promotions. I wonder if that's one season too early, or maybe 2 seasons too early. I think I'm going to have them higher than most with this one. 16th place, which, considering they've only brought in Ryan Hardy and Danny Ward so far, and Paul Mullin has gone out the door, I think that's pretty fair. I've always liked Wrexham, but I just wonder if this is the time where they might get a little bit unstuck. And you look at those first couple of games, Southampton, West Brom, these are hard games. This is a very different landscape for Wrexham now. 16th place.
I've got them to finish 19th, so I do think they're going to be in a relegation battle, but just have enough to stay up. I think Ryan Hardy's a good signing. I do like him. He was very good for Plymouth. Danny Ward, though, I don't think he's a very good keeper. If he wasn't Welsh, would they sign him? Probably not, let's be honest. So I don't think he's a great signing, but they still have money to spend on strikers and strengthen other positions. They have got a decent budget and can spend a little bit more, and the summer transfer window isn't over yet, so I think they will continue to strengthen. That's why I've got them to just stay up.
Bear in mind though, the one thing that Wrexham definitely do have is momentum and a togetherness. Phil Parkinson might have managed in the Championship before and not done great, but when he's managed Wrexham, he's always done great. So I think they might surprise some people. I'm not going to be bold enough to say, promotion again, but I think some people are going to have them to really struggle, and I don't think that will be the case. We'll see. That wraps it up, Sophie. That is our official Championship 1 to 24 predictions for another year. Put it there. We've done it. We've got our Premier League predictions coming soon as well, so do look out for them. Do make sure to share your thoughts down in the comments, and be sure to support us. Drop a like, subscribe. Thank you for joining me, Sophie.
Thank you.
We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Peace out.